Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I want to talk about a specific category of content online. The one framed around don't trust men, get your leverage, never get married, protect yourself at all costs. I'm sure we've all seen it, yeah? And it feels like wisdom to some. It comes from real experience, it's delivered with conviction, and it resonates because it names things that you've felt but you've never heard anyone say out loud. And for many women, especially those who have been hurt, betrayed, cheated on, it lands like a lifeline. Finally, someone who gets it. Finally, someone who's like saying the thing I've been thinking all along out loud. However, the question here is the person saying it actually healed, or are they just further along in their pain? Because I call that type of content broadcasting your trauma on the internet and framing it as coaching. This is what usually happens when trauma gets a platform before it gets processed. And we've seen that way too many times, in my opinion. Someone experiences something, as I said, a betrayal, a relationship that didn't work out, that maybe broke them a little. And sometimes it's not even their own, experience. It's something they inherited. It's something that they witnessed growing up. A parent in a situation that they couldn't quite get away from. This would be a wound that was inherited rather than lived, but they absorbed it just as deeply. And instead of processing it, which is slow and uncomfortable, and doesn't get many views, they broadcast it. And I honestly don't think most of them even realize that what they're doing. And they build an audience around it, and the audience grows because pain recognizes pain, and being validated feels like being helped, although it really isn't. Not always, anyway. But what's being offered isn't wisdom; it's a trauma response with a following. And I want to use some real examples here because I think they illustrate the problem way better than any theory could. So there's a creator online, a very very well known one, who I'm not going to name her, who built a significant platform around distrust of men and relationships. Although originally I believe she was meant to be a manifestation coach, could be wrong. But it's very much a case of get your leverage, protect yourself, look for what they call a provider man, have them prove the wealth to you, have them send you money, that sort of thing, as if that's going to protect you from an abuser, please. And a lot of it stemmed, as far as I understand it, from watching her mother have to stay in a situation that she couldn't leave. So she absorbed that growing up, when she was still very young, made it her truth, and eventually her entire platform. And in her mind, that's probably how she was going to break the cycle. And I understand wanting to break the cycle and do something different, but it wasn't quite the answer. So what happened is that someone studied that platform, someone studied her triggers, what she feared, what she put online, what she had been publicly performing for years, and used it against her, and she ended up in a position that mirrored exactly what she spent years warning others about. Because let me tell you one thing, abuse doesn't just look one way. It comes in various forms, and it's not just the ones that you have witnessed growing up. And that's what happens when you broadcast your triggers before you've healed them. You hand people a manual, and the wrong ones will read it and will use it carefully. And then there's another creator who also built a lot of her content around the concept of never getting married. She repeated it constantly. Her audience grew around that. It was mostly like an audience of other women who shared that same view, which, fair enough. But it very quickly became her whole brand. And then recently she announced an engagement, and her audience understandably lost it because they felt misled. That they'd built their own beliefs around what she told them. And there was no transition between that and what could have been framed as a healed version of her, just the announcement popping up out of nowhere. And there is a chance, of course, that this could have been done on purpose to generate a bigger reaction and more views, better reach, that sort of thing, which I think makes things even worse. And that's the danger of one person's experience becoming everyone's truth. When the creator moves on, the audience is still stuck with what they left behind. And then there's a third example, and this one I actually respect. So it was the same starting point, the same anger, the same distrust, and the whole punish them, get the money, get the gifts type of energy. She was very much in that element herself, although her content wasn't entirely based on that. Her dating stories actually, I think, tend to get quite a lot of interest anyway, even to this date. But she did something different. She spoke about it and very openly said, I was wrong. I've been healing. I don't think that way anymore. And here's what changed. No drama, no defensiveness, just honesty about the whole situation and the whole process. And that's what actually doing the work looks like. It's about being honest with yourself about where you are and where you've been. Okay, so I can speak sadly from personal experience because I lived a version of it. In my early 20s, I was very much in an element where I was like, well, who would cheat on me? Were I even finding any better? And then sadly after that I moved into well, they all cheat anyway, so you may as well date the one who spends the most on you. That's how you know they value you. And I shifted into that mindset, which felt like progress at the time. Like I was being realistic rather than naive. Like I graduated from being the girl who didn't see it coming to the woman who knew better. Both are embarrassing. Ultimately, I wasn't healing. I was just cycling through different versions of the same wound with more sophisticated language around it. And every piece of content I consumed that confirmed those beliefs felt like it was helping me, but it wasn't. It was just keeping me exactly where I was, just with more reasons to stay there. So being faithful is the absolute minimum in a monogamous relationship, in my opinion. Full stop. Nobody's actually immune from cheating, from being. Oh, sorry, no one is actually immune to being cheated on, and being cheated on actually has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And there are things in this world. I'm sorry, far more worth my energy than the possibility of something I can't control anyway. So I don't think that's being naive or giving up. I think that's what it actually looks like when the wound finally closes, because it's far from the worst thing that could happen to you.
So why does the other content get so many followers? The anger, the distrust, they never get married one. I think it's because when you're in pain, being validated feels like you're being helped. Someone who confirms your worst fears about men and relationships feels like someone who, finally understands you. And in a world where a lot of women, I think, have been genuinely hurt and told to just get over it, finding a community that says, no, actually, your pain is valid is powerful. And the algorithm rewards it too. So the content gets more intense over time, not necessarily because the creator believes it more deeply or because it's more helpful, but because that's what's getting pushed essentially. And the audience that forms around it starts to reinforce it. What started as one person's pain becomes a community's shared conviction, and leaving that community or questioning it starts to feel like a betrayal to yourself and everyone in it. But there is a difference between having your pain validated and being helped to move through it. One keeps you exactly where you are but with company, and the other one actually leads somewhere different, somewhere good. And a lot of the content in this space does the first thing while presenting itself as the second. The question you should be asking about any content that you consume regularly is not just does it resonate, because of course it will. Pain always resonates with pain. I think that is the norm. The question is, does this content leave me feeling more capable, more grounded, more clear, or does it leave me feeling more guarded and more certain that nothing will ever work out, that, more convinced that the worst is inevitable? If it's the second, you're not being coached, you're being kept. And the person keeping you there might not even realize they're doing it because they haven't finished their own work yet. So, really, I don't think they should be coaching or teaching anyone anything. So, why are you following them? Is the content you're consuming healing you or just keeping you company in your pain? Because there's a difference, and I think you deserve the first one.